to make this temple a better place for all of you could come and worship. So I'm so very grateful that Prabhu is with us, and actually there are 2 more programs coming up in the next 2 days. You must have seen all the information on your WhatsApp group. I would like to take a minute to invite all of you to attend these programs. I have requested Prabhu to speak something on the topic of Srila Prabhupada, and I had left it to Prabhu to make his own decision. So I didn't see any other topic put here today. So with that, just passing this on to Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We put Jai Radhamadava on the screen, or everybody knows it? We use the screen? So chant a little bit more, and then share some thoughts. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivardhani Gopi Jana Ballava Girivardhani Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayurada Madhava Kunda Bihari Jayurada Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivardhani Gopi Jana Ballava Girivardhani Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayurada Madhava Kunda Bihari Jayurada Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. One more. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Maybe keep that here, unless is there something else to hold the book up? Is there another book right? Something else? This is a little high, but this is too low, so I can use this. This is okay. This is all right. We'll use this. We'll use this. It's okay. So we just had a meeting of the, what was it? ITO, what was it? ITOG, right? Tell me the translation. ISKCON Temple of Greater Chicago Operations Committee or something. Yeah. Yeah. That's the top secret agents that run this place. Okay? I live in Washington. There's a lot of top secret people. You don't ever know who's who. Of course, in Chicago these days, you never know who's who either, right? It's a whole other thing. But actually, this is too high. Let's go ahead and take this off. Thanks. Okay. So, thank you all for being here. So I mentioned that because I was thinking during the presentation, so many PowerPoints and a lot of very impressive things. You have Premananda Mataji said some nice things about me. Let me just talk about the whole manager. I was very impressed, like the devotees that are collectively helping to organize the community and, you know, help increase Govindas, help increase the outreach, help increase the festivals, help increase the parking facilities, everything else. There's a good team of people leading, nice cooperative spirit. And I was particularly remembering attending some of those meetings maybe like 3 years ago in what you might call the Naperville hut, right? Raise your hand if you've been to Mayapur, the international headquarters of ISKCON. A few people. So by the gate, you can see the hut where Prabhupada first lived, next to the TOVP. So we kind of had a hut here for many years. And, you know, the original temple, which was, what was it, church originally? Well, originally a church, small, very humble facility. But devotees were perseverant, and devotees had a vision for the future and how to create a nice home for ever-growing community. And by their devotion and hard work and the mercy of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and Guru and Vaishnavas, this beautiful temple is manifest. I haven't been here about a year. These pictures, these paintings came later. It's nice to sit here and chant Jai Radha Madhava because, like, okay, there's Radharani. I was looking, okay, there's Jashoda. And, you know, all the Leela is there. And just a few years ago, there was just a hut. And because all of you came forward and you made such sincere efforts, that hut is now manifest into this beautiful facility. Of course, we know it's not quite beautiful from the outside yet. That's phase 3. So keep those cards and letters coming to get us through phase 3 so that someday the beautiful banner we see, the temple, will be there. But it was just a reminder how so much can be accomplished if we work together cooperatively. And we know that that was the instruction given by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, who's sitting here, is Murti. He was instructed in 1922 by his spiritual master to take the teachings of Mahaprabhu and speak them, especially in the Western world, the English-speaking language. And he took that instruction very seriously and dedicated his life to trying to understand how to fulfill that order. He had a lot of setbacks. Then in 1965, came to New York City, first Boston. Some of you were there, and there was a celebration just a month or two ago. in Boston, marking the 60th anniversary in 1965 of Prabhupada landing in America. First in Boston, then he went to New York. Well, then he went to Butler, Pennsylvania. And it's interesting, I just learned the other day, well, no, we'll keep that till later, but there's some interesting possibilities in Butler, Pennsylvania, where Prabhupada first stayed for about a month. From there, he went to New York City, struggled very hard for almost a year, and was able to start the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And if you've seen in the recordings of the scholars that studied ISKCON in its early days, one of the comments that one scholar makes, I think it's Tom Hopkins, and he laughs uproariously about this concept. He says he was looking for what he was told, this Krishna temple on the Lower East Side, and he found this little sliver of a temple. If you go there, you see it's a little sliver. If you don't know where it is, you can miss it very easily. These days, all the buildings are going up nearby, so it's even less visible maybe than it was there. But in the window was a little sign of this little tiny storefront, one of its kind. The only thing that existed was that, nothing else but a sign that said International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So this professor is saying he laughed at that, the audacity of that. This is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This little, it's the whole place is about from here to the windows about that wide. That's it. That was the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But that was Prabhupada's vision. And Prabhupada actually envisioned, maybe not in detail, but the concept. He envisioned all of us sitting here in Naperville. And it's because of his vision that we're sitting here together in Naperville. It was his vision, it was his inspiration that got the whole thing going, that kept the whole thing going. And his vision was very much on this mood of cooperation. And we know from the Shastra, this particular age, which we have a very long concept of time, right? Several 100,000 years is called the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And we're only said to be about, 5,000 years into it? So don't stick around. Again, I live in D.C. The age of quarrel and hypocrisy, yeah, it's right there. It's on the front page of the newspaper every day. So we're bucking the trend. I actually trying to learn how can we cooperate together. And cooperation means, first and foremost, you have to value the other person and you have to value other opinions that may not agree with yours. It's easy to cooperate with people that reflect everything I want. That's easy because obviously they've understood that I'm more intelligent and that they just want to go along with whatever I say. So that's easy, right? I can cooperate with you because you realize I'm really good. But if you have different ideas than I have, then it's harder to cooperate. And if there's sometimes strong disagreements, it's really difficult to cooperate. And in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, sometimes that leads to at least major conflicts like we see around the world today. So Prabhupada talked about how we need to cooperate. It's an important thing for us to remember as followers of Srila Prabhupada, admirers of Prabhupada, friends of Prabhupada. So I wanted to read a little bit from the preface, which comes before the foreword, which comes before. Foreword was written by the publishers, but then the introduction, which is written by Prabhupada. So this is the first paragraph of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. What Prabhupada wants to say to the world, an opening of his life's work, of his presenting his translation and commentary of the Bhagavatam. So he starts right out with this. We must know the present need of human society. They say when you write something, you catch people's attention. So right there, we must know the present need of human society. It's like we're not looking small people, we're looking big. What does the whole of human society need? That's what he starts out. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology, bringing together all living beings, the whole planet, you could say the universe. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with an aphorism of the Vedanta philosophy, Janmadi Asya Yataha, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large. And therefore, there are large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fulfill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. I'll read that again. There is a need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam, this literature in the Bhakti tradition it presents, Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Prabhupada one time said, I have one disease, I can't think small. So, in his preface, now, maybe he wrote that later, I don't know, it'd be interesting to know, but we know the first canto, he brought with him 3 volumes of the first canto, so more than likely he wrote this while he was still in India, before he came to New York, before he started this movement for the re-spiritualization of human society. But he was emphasizing the need for this. So, we are very fortunate that we have this nice, beautiful temple that's just come up in the last couple of years, and of course the next phases are coming soon by all of your acts of devotion. And we should be very grateful and very happy that we can come here and appreciate the opportunity. And we should also not forget that we're part of something much, much bigger than Naperville. Much, much bigger than Chicago. Much, much bigger than the Midwest United States. Much, much bigger than North America. Much, much bigger than anything really, Western civilization, whatever. It's global. It is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's not just us. And as such, as small parts of the wheel of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, there's a mission of this community that we should keep in mind, because if we connect with the mission, the Vaishnava philosophy teaches that we're all, actually, as Prabhupada says, we're all looking for something. What we're looking for, and he mentions this, is a cause. And people get themselves to various causes. Again, I live in Washington, D.C., and every time I go to a meeting, I learn new acronyms of different organizations dedicated to addressing some big cause. There's like hundreds of them in that city, And these are various groups of very well-intended, often selfless people working hard to address environmental issues or political issues or racial strife or urban issues or problems with health issues or problems with human development or child protection or so many different things. Part of the reason people are motivated for these types of activities is because obviously there's a need. And these are compassionate people that are trying to do something to uplift the world. The Bhagavatam goes a little deeper than that when it says that actually we are attracted to these different things. Even, somebody who's like the volunteer coach, assistant coach at their son's, soccer team. So that's an altruistic impulse that people have. Some people, maybe it's not as broad, but they give of themselves to maintain and protect and care for their own family. Maybe they don't see much beyond that. Most people do. They do both. But either way, it's an impulse to do good for others. So, and it's often misled because people don't know what's good for people. Oftentimes people do something, it's like you see a homeless person who's asking for money outside, a 7-Eleven store, and, you give them a few dollars, perhaps, and they go and buy some liquor or some cigarettes. You haven't really helped them. There are, if you want to help them, there are ways to help them. That's not a way to help them. So Bhagavatam is a little heavy in saying that if we don't understand what's the real need of human society, then the causes we present may be ill-served. A simple example is sometimes given. If you have a boil, I remember the early days when I first went to India in the late 70s, everybody from the West, I don't know if it was because of the water at that time or what, everybody got boils. You don't hear about boils much these days, maybe, but everybody got boils, which is a big puffy thing on your skin. And probably, maybe it's in the Shastra someplace, that if you go to the doctor and you say, I have a boil, generally they puncture it and they take all the disease out, the contamination, ugly pus and all those horrible things to make it better. But if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, we need to lance this, and you say, no, just blow on it. Can you just fan it? Can you make it better? It's, well, we can do that, but it won't cure the problem because you're not going to the cause. So the Bhagavatam is trying to address this understanding. What's the cause? When we say the cause is that people are thinking, first and foremost, Krishna's first instruction in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu says it so many times in every lecture and every page of every purport, we're not the body. Which is like, God, I've heard that so many times. Why don't we believe it? Why don't we believe it? We haven't heard it enough times yet. That's why. We still think I'm a man or I'm a woman, I'm an Indian, I'm an American, I'm an Indian origin, born in America. So many things. As time goes by, first generation Indian American, second generation Indian American, third generation. No, you're not. You're not. You're spirit soul. The body is just a vehicle. And when we don't, if you have a vehicle, if you have a car, you take care of your car, right? So many people have cars. You got to get an oil change or else it's going to blow up. You got to change the tires, right? Little snowflakes today warning everybody, make sure your tires are good, right? You don't change the tires, you're putting your life at risk. You need to maintain the car. But if you spend all your time maintaining the car, you don't take care of yourself, that'd be kind of foolish, wouldn't it? And that's another analogy that's given, is that modern society is all about the body and things connected to the body and the honor affiliated with the body and the prestige of the body and the beauty of the body and maintaining the body and expanding the body and preserving the body. But we're not the body. We're the consciousness within. And the same way the body has needs, the mind also has needs, more subtle, and the soul has needs. So Bhagavatam and the process of bhakti that this Krishna conscious movement is trying to teach and share and follow, the bhakti process tells us that actually the same way the body has needs, the mind has needs, the soul has needs. And until we understand the needs of the soul, and until we address those, we can't really be happy. We can't really be satisfied. And that's why we see, America, it's still the richest country in the world, but it's got, huge degrees of homelessness, mental illness, depression, divorce, alcoholism, so many problems. The list is long. So if material things satisfy the needs of people's innermost desire, well, then naturally Americans would automatically be happier. I mean, ask yourself, isn't that why your grandparents came here? Right? But if they knew what you knew, would they still have come? That's the big question. Maybe not. Because everything they thought they were going to find here, they didn't necessarily find. More comfort, yes. More opportunity for economic development, yes. But satisfaction, maybe not. Maybe not. So the Bhagavatam is making this claim that actually the satisfaction comes when we understand as the soul our connection with the Supreme Soul. And And it's interesting, again, I live in Washington, so it impacts so much of what I see. So many people there, it's like when there's a new administration, whether it's Democratic, Republican, doesn't matter. Like the whole town swings, and you go to conference and everybody just starts talking about people in office. They talk about, well, whatever, Mr. Trump's plan. And it's like, well, don't you have a plan? No, Mr. Trump's plan, or Mr. Biden's plan, or Mr. Bush's plan, or Mr. Obama's plan. And they really kind of give themselves to the vision of the leader. But the leader comes and goes. DC's still there. Where's Biden? Where's Obama? Obama's still trying to feast around. Bush is in hiding. Reagan's long gone. Except they have a nice statue of him in DC at the airport. It's a good way to get a statue yourself made. That's one way. But the long-term solutions they didn't provide. So the Bhagavatam is saying that actually this is what's needed for people to feel peaceful, to feel, as it describes, for a whole human society to live in peace, if they have a shared cause. If we're thinking that the cause is material, well, that's tough because there's limited material resources. And if the goal is to control and to enjoy or exploit material resources, we will be in competition with each other. And there will be people who think that competition should include war and violence and murder and everything else that we see going on in the world today. And you can't blame people, in one sense. If you're raised in a culture that says the goal of life is to control material energy, and somebody else is competing with you over that material energy, well then, in the roughest sense of the word, they're your enemy. Right? And if there's no ultimate cause of everything, and if everything's just temporary and there's no real purpose to it, well, like they say, go for the gusto, go for it, get everything you can, you'll live for the moment. And maybe you won't step on too many toes, but like I got landed and picked up at the airport, I was driving out, one of the boys said, yeah, that's where Al Capone's used to live, that room. That really, I didn't know the building was still there. Yeah. When they put him away in jail, he made some comment like, this is what you get for spending your life trying to show people a good time. Right? You've all heard of Al Capone. You live in Chicago, right? Okay. Thinking he's doing good for the world. So Bhagavatam is saying we need to know actually what's good for the world. And ISKCON has a purpose. 7 purposes Prabhupada gave. The first one is to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large. For the purpose, as he mentions here, propagating spiritual knowledge so that people can be, he describes, to promote real peace and unity in human society. So in one sense, it's like, oftentimes people say, maybe some of us have heard this, I'm sure we've all heard it, sometimes we think it, yeah, but, people say this of other traditions, but Hinduism isn't, we don't proselytize, we don't convert, we don't have a mission. Well, okay, I won't get into other teachers, but in the Vaishnava tradition, we absolutely don't convert. We have no interest in converting people. Our goal is to evolve people. You follow whatever path you want, we don't care. But go deep and awaken your relationship with Krishna, with God. And we know that if people don't have that in their lives, we're convinced they cannot be happy. They just can't be happy. And people say, well, what do you care? What do you care about whether I'm happy? Well, we care because we know that Krishna cares. And we're servants of Krishna. And therefore we care. So as Vaishnavas, we have this understanding. We actually want to help people evolve in their understanding of their relationship with Krishna. And we want to help them fill the gap that's in their lives. When you look around society, just open our eyes. Why are people racing by you on the highway, going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, putting their lives in danger, your life in danger, only to get wherever they're supposed to go, and you can bet on it, yell at whoever they see. They're not racing home or wherever they're going to be peaceful and joyful and show them love with a big hug. And let them know that, I had to put 17 people's lives in danger because I wanted to come home and show you how mellow I am and how much you really mean to me. Those folks walk in the door and they yell at their wife, they yell at their kids, they yell at the boss, they yell at themselves because they're angry and they're frustrated. And they're driving down the road because they're feeling like, I have no inner happiness. So let me manipulate through the cars, pretending they're just orange cones on the highway, forgetting that they're real people with kids and spouses and friends and professors and everything else. And I'm willing to put their lives at risk because I get some momentary titillation of getting to my destination 15 seconds earlier so I can yell at people there. What kind of society is that? What kind of people are we creating? And therefore, we know that there's a gap in people's lives. Their hearts are so unfulfilled. Ravinda Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's earliest disciples who had a PhD in religious studies, brilliant man, has done a lot of writing. He said, every living entity in this world, we have a God-sized hole in our heart. A God-sized hole in our heart. And we're trying to fill it, right? It's like if there's a hole in your plumbing or something, right? Of course, you want to try to turn the water off, but the first thing you may try to do is like stop the water. You just want to like plug the hole up, right? You grab some paper towel, and that works for about 4 seconds until it soaks up the water, right? And then you grab some aluminum foil, and that kind of works until the water works. You try to fill the hole. So human life, people are trying to fill the hole. Money, power, fame, prestige. Srila Prabhupada, when we went to Tokyo to first negotiate with Dai Nippon, the publication of Bhagavad Gita, well-known story, but very illustrative. In that culture, meet with people, the business executives the night before. It's a very formal culture. So was Prabhupada and some of his disciples, and the president and the company, and the vice president, and the junior vice president, all these people there. So they had some nice introductory talks. And then the president of the company bowed, as they do, respectfully to Srila Prabhupada, their new customer, and walked out. And each of them had put a business card in front of them, who they are, what their status is. So Prabhupada took advantage of the opportunity, the junior most executive that was left to escort them back to the parking lot or whatever. Prabhupada took advantage of the moment and asked him, what's your goal of life? What do you think the purpose of life? What are you trying to achieve in life? And it's described, he didn't say anything. He just picked up all the business cards with the CEO and the senior vice president and the vice president and the senior executive all the way down. And his card was on the bottom. So put them all in order like that. He went to hand it to Prabhupada. He took his card, he put it on the top. That was his answer. I want that position. I want to be the top guy. And a lot of people are motivated by that in the world. We're told that's what it means to be, ambitious person. It's a good thing. Ambition is good, but what are we ambitious for? That's the question the Bhagavatam asks us. What are you being ambitious for? If you're ambitious for something that's not going to fulfill the God-sized hole in your heart, then we're being misdirected. So the Bhakti tradition teaches that materialistic life is fine. Like Prabhupada would oftentimes say, we use airplanes, we use microphones, we use, a big pillow. Actually, this one's a little oversized. You could put 2 or 3 people up here, big people. I used to be skinny. I'm not skinny anymore, but this is like a really big pillow. So you can use material things. The difficulty is it's insufficient. We should try to remember that. Prabhupada say we don't condemn material progress, science and medicine and so many things. We don't condemn that. We don't even criticize it. Following the footsteps of our predecessor acharyas, what we critique or what we are see the fault in is when people think that in and of itself is sufficient. It's insufficient. It's completely insufficient. It's just so many examples. It's like you could just sit and talk examples all day long. One example, everybody likes beauty, right? Power, fame, money, beauty. We're all attracted to those things. So there's one lady, we've all heard of her, famous actress. I've never met her. I'm sure she's a nice person. Beyonce, beautiful woman, absolutely beautiful woman, and, Super Bowl performances the last few years or whatever. Most men would die to be married to her. And I'm sure there's Indian versions and South American versions, whatever. Except her husband, who was cheating on her with some other women. So now, we have a little bit of intelligence. So it's like, beautiful woman means happiness. Okay? She's a beautiful woman. He has her. He must be happy. He's not happy. Something's wrong. Logically, something is wrong there. Or, pick a handsome guy. Like, oh, I wish I was married to him. I don't know any famous Indian male actors. I would guess the name, but I'd be so wrong. You would all laugh at me, and I don't want you laughing at me. Be married, married him, but like, no, he cheated on her, or if he didn't, he died young, or if he didn't, he lost all his money, or if he didn't, he got old and died and left her with whatever. Not enough. She's a widow, and she's home, and she's alone, and she's left unprotected. Because she had a God-sized hole, and she tried to fill it with the best she could get, maybe a rich and famous businessman. He tried to fill his God-sized hole with a beautiful performer. It wasn't enough. So he goes more and more and more and more different varieties of sense gratification. But the Bhagavatam explains, it just doesn't work. It's like oil and water. You take just like salad dressing, right? If you have oil and some like balsamic vinegar or whatever, something that's like, you try to mix it together. If you stir it around, it stays together. But as soon as you stop, it separates. So that's the description about ourselves as spiritual beings. It's just insufficient. And I was thinking, the snow reminded me, it's soon to be Christmas season. Everybody's going to put up lights. And every grocery store and every shop you go into is going to be singing joy to the world, season's greetings, I saw, very profound religious meanings like I saw Santa kissing mommy under the mistletoe, and all those profound spiritual messages that come along with Christmas. And we live in a culture where the most religious holiday of the majority of the people is celebrated largely by consumerism, right? And people are in a lot of anxiety. I mean, you see stuff in the news, 3 women were put in the hospital because they all wanted the same sweater at Macy's, right? I mean, you read stories, isn't it? You read stories like that, And then last year, 2 years ago, I was in New York for Christmas Eve. And so I did a little research, right? You just Google and it was like, how many gifts are thrown away after Christmas? How much money do people, and it was like the number of things that people give away or lose or break within the first 3 or 4 months. It's phenomenal. It's billions and billions of dollars. It's huge landfills filled. We know land is limited space, filled with the stuff that people throw away. I don't know if they still do it. It makes me feel bad because I confess we get things sometimes from Amazon and like they deliver it with all the packaging. They tell you it's like less packaging, but it's still a lot of packaging. But I've read stories, if you return things, they don't even know what to do with it. It just goes in a warehouse and they throw it away. I hope they fix that problem because there's a lot of people that could use those shoes you send back or the blouse you send back or the toothbrush you send back. But a lot of times because it's such quantity of scale, they can't even sort it out again. It's not economically feasible to sort out, so they just throw it away. So this is the season we're coming into. Major consumption, buy a lot of things, put a lot of things in your credit card. We all know people in a lot of anxiety into January, February, March because they got to pay off the credit card because they bought a bunch of stuff for somebody. They wanted to show their love, so they bought them a thing that person's going to throw away in 3 months. Love in the material world. And if you listen, I listen to the radio sometimes to get news or whatever. So there'll be like public service announcements, right? So you just get through, they'll be singing, "This is the season to be jolly," et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's an announcement. Christmas time is the season of joy. It's a time to spend with your family. But we all know sometimes that family time can be highly stressful. If you find yourself suffering from depression or suicidal thoughts or other activities meant to harm you or your family, call the Family Therapy Society at 1-800 blah, 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 blah. You ever heard those messages? Isn't it? And you're like, you're thinking like, wait. This is like the most important spiritual holiday, which is kind of morphed into a consumer holiday. which they're telling people, buy stuff, you'll be happy, spend time with your family around the Christmas tree, opening presents for 4 or 5 hours, and then it'll make life happy. And when you realize it's not enough and you're totally frustrated, depressed, and angry and bitter and don't want to talk to your aunt again for at least another year, call us because we can help you with, I mean, really, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's sad. It's really sad. So that's why Prabhupada came. Sometimes you wonder, why did Prabhupada come? Why did Prabhupada come to the West? And they asked him, I think it was in the UK, one reporter asked him, why did you come here? He said, I've come here to teach you what you forgot. Very humble, actually. You know it. You know the answers to this. When those people stand in line and fighting over the stuff, they'll talk with their friends about it's a consumer crazy culture, but they don't know how to stop it. They know they should stop it. They know it's destructive. They know it's counterproductive. They don't know how to stop it because they don't have an alternative. Therefore, Prabhupada came to say there's an alternative. And by coming here, we're trying to make a commitment to learning about that alternative, to take advantage of that alternative, and to look for an opportunity to fill that God-sized hole in our own hearts, and according to our capacity to understand that I really should try to share with others. We may be shy, we may be a minority in the culture, we may be, not used to talking to many people. It doesn't matter. We have a mission. And Prabhupada describes in the Bhagavatam that we should feel some debt to those who've given us hope. We should feel some debt. Just like if you go to the doctor, you get open heart surgery. How can you not feel, appreciative? Yeah, he made a lot of money and all of that. Still, he saved your life. So in Prabhupada's case, he didn't make a lot of money. He didn't take anything for himself. And he really, on behalf of Krishna, who is the Savior, Krishna is the Savior, deliverer, God is the one that delivers us from this material world, but he has many representatives that come and try to help us in many, many ways. And Prabhupada described that we should try to actually, to whatever extent we can, share that message with others. So this temple is for that purpose. Don't think this temple's for us. It's not for us. This temple's for people that aren't here yet. And that person that walks in on a Sunday afternoon, the one that that you've been a friend with for a few months or a few years, yeah, you have an important relationship with them. You have a more important relationship with the person that walks in and doesn't know anybody here. Because the fact is, by the way you welcome them, by the way you reach out to them, by the way you make them feel at home, they'll come back because they're looking for Krishna. They may not even know it. They're looking for it to fill that God-sized hole. So one time, beautiful story of Srila Prabhupada, I mentioned it last night. One of my very favorite ones, there was a devotee who was asked, he was a relatively new devotee. Prabhupada was in New Vrindavan, and as was his habit, he was up late at night, everyone else was taking rest, and he was translating the books to be published. And this devotee was kind of there in case Prabhupada needed anything and guarding the house at the same time, so he's walking around the house. And then it started to rain. So he stepped underneath the overhang or into an open garage, whatever it was. He thought, I can still be close by, but I don't get rained on. If Prabhupada needs anything, I'm there. So he could hear Prabhupada translating, transcribing, and recording, and to be later put into book form and distributed around the world. He could hear, but then he realized that Prabhupada wasn't speaking. He was standing actually in the screen door right there, right next to him. So he paid his obeisances and he sat up or stood up and said, Prabhupada, is there some service I can render? And Prabhupada answered him and said, yes. Middle of the night, you're just like a new guy, right? You got the night duty. You're a new guy. You're dependable, but nobody particularly important because they needed you to get sleep so you can do something in the morning more substantial. You're the night guard, okay? You're not like a sannyasi or even a temple president or a GBC or whatever. See, you're just the night guard. You ask Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what can I do to serve you? Prabhupada said, you can go where I cannot go. Into the future. And you can show the people how much Krishna loves them by how you treat them. That wasn't a message just for the night guard in the middle of New Vrindavan, in the middle of a rain, and the one night when Prabhupada made his visit there. That was his message for each of us. So many stories like that. Prabhupada, I think I mentioned this the other night too. I believe this was in Montreal. Could have been San Francisco. Early days, 2 or 3 or 4 temples. Prabhupada was with a small group of disciples, and he was explaining the importance of Lord Chaitanya's movement and spreading Krishna consciousness. And he looked at each one of them in the eye, each one. He said, I want each one of you to open a temple. And these were, 20-year-olds. Maybe there might have been an old man in the bunch who was 24. Right? There were I know there were some 16-year-olds. That was Prabhupada's vision. That was Prabhupada's desire. And that's what drove him. We should remember that desire to help others and to show others how much Krishna loves them. That's what drove him to get on the boat. The ship owner said, Swamiji, don't go, you'll die. She told him, she was avoiding him to not give him free pass. He was waiting and waiting outside her office to get passage on the ship. And she said, Swamiji, you know what my assistants tell me? They tell me if I let you go there, you'll die. And Prabhupada said, no, don't worry. And it convinced her. He was so determined through so many obstacles and challenges. So many. If you read Lilamrita, a beautiful book, read that first volume before he even came to America, the challenges that he faced. Why did he face those challenges? For me, for you, for all of us. And it's described all he wants, all the spiritual master wants, all the representatives of Krishna wants is to try to preach or spread Krishna's message the same way he has, according to our capacity. That's what's asked of us. And it's described that we can never repay the debt to our spiritual predecessors, but we should try. And there's a tremendous need in the world today. Prabhupada was talking about what is that human need. It is to fill that God-sized hole. And in a more immediate sense, people need examples. They really need examples. And we can't give up on the fact that there's a lot of really, really, really bad examples in the world today. In our country, other countries, our society, other societies, a lot of really bad examples. I can't help but wonder what kids are growing up these days seeing, let me just quickly, the government shut down for a month. TSA, right? Anybody flown in the last month? Other than me? Well, you're all happy here in Naperville, huh? Wow, I'm living in the wrong place. Okay, so I try. So TSA, right? We all know the TSA people there that protect us, and there was a long line and I asked this one guy. I said, "So are they paying you?" He said, "No." How long? A month. Right? He's the guy protecting. He's the guy making sure that nobody's got a bomb or something in their bag, which I'm really grateful he's there. But the government, supposed to protect us all, can't figure out how to pay those people? Whether you like the left, the right, whatever. It's crazy. It's a totally crazy situation. So we need examples of people on a very small scale. Maybe somebody here will be the Speaker of the House one day, or the Vice President, or the President, whatever. But most of us won't impact at that level. But we do impact the people around us. And we can set an example. In the midst of all the harshness and the bitterness and the polarization and the anger, for us to actually have faith in Krishna, that He is the Supreme Lord, He is my friend, He's the supreme friend of everyone, He cares for everybody, and I'm not going to mistreat other people. Just because the whole world's fixed on and you may even mistreat me, I'm not going to mistreat you. Because I believe that you're a spirit soul, just like this little guy flying around here. Okay, he's a spirit soul, right? I'm glad he likes the lecture. I'm glad he came. So we need to try to set that example, to go deep in our own spiritual life, and to understand that spiritual life, bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness, it doesn't end when you walk out the door tonight. Not like, okay, we come here, the deities here, the kirtans here, the devotees here, the prasadams here. Now we go out to the material world. No. Now you carry Krishna bhakti into your ordinary life. That's what it means. Who else is going to carry it forward but all of us? Prabhupada's not here anymore. Gopal Hari the other night, introduced, said, whatever, Newton was a direct initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada. There's not going to be that many more of us around here many more years. Who's going to carry it forward? You. And don't think, well, I'm just a housewife, or I'm just a kid, or I'm just an electrician, or I'm just an IT professional, I'm just this, I'm just that. I've only been practicing bhakti for 37 years. I'm not qualified. If you've known about it for 37 minutes, you're qualified to take it forward. Prabhupada Malati had the first child born in the ISKCON society, little Saraswati. Prabhupada was so proud of her, because at the age of 2 years old, she would say to people, do you know who Krishna is? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada said, this is wonderful. She's carrying that message forward. So we all have our capacity. We should try to do that. Be serious about filling the God-sized hole in our own hearts. And as best we can, try to assist Prabhupada in this mission of filling the God-sized hole in the world, because people desperately need it. And we are part of the solution. Whether you like it or not, we're part of the solution. We're not the only solution. We don't claim exclusivity. We're not that mentality, but we have a very deep and profound understanding of what the answer is. We have to carry it forward as best we can. So there's no clock here, but I got a gut feeling when the babies start crying, you're supposed to stop talking. I think actually it's not a live child, it's a fake one, and Premananda's pulling the string. You pull the string and the baby, the robotic baby starts crying, right? Something like that. So I don't know, is there time for questions, or how are we doing? Okay, a few minutes. Any questions or comments? Yes. A microphone coming, I think.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for such a wonderful class. Prabhu, I wanted to ask, in the early stages of Krishna consciousness, when one tries to artificially renounce or become detached to material possessions, it can cause a lot of pressure, and maybe a person can think that, like, Krishna conscious for them can become distasteful because they're trying to do it too early, everything. So how can, with time, they can slowly become detached and come to that natural point of renunciation? And
I mean, I'm sitting here trying to remember a verse where we're told we're supposed to renounce the world. I think that's like the wrong yuga. We're not supposed to renounce the world. You're interchanging detached and renunciation. They're two different concepts. Detachment, from a Vaishnava perspective, is when we give up the sense that I'm the proprietor, that I'm the enjoyer, that I'm the controller. We replace that with I'm the recipient of God's mercy, Krishna's kindness, and all the various things that He's given me. I should give up the desire to hoard it, for myself, and I should share what I have, and I should appreciate what I have, and live simply, so I have more time and energy for, more direct spiritual things. But our philosophy is not based on renunciation. It's not a key element of who we are, right? My father, Gopal Hari, he knows all the shlokas. It's not. Our philosophy is based on bhakti. You take whatever you have, you offer to Krishna. When Alfred Ford met Prabhupada, Prabhupada didn't tell him give it all up. He told him build a temple. Right? When Prabhupada met George Harrison asked Prabhupada, should I shave my head and move in the temple? Prabhupada said, you're doing so much already. I'm paraphrasing. Why would you do that? Forget it. Don't do that. When, was it Jayananda, the first, very, very first wave of devotees were like young people, pretty misguided, didn't know what was going on. And Jayananda was like one of the older ones. He was like late 20s, and he had a job. And Prabhupada was like really proud he had a disciple that had a job. It was early, right? He didn't tell him give up your job. He said, use some of the proceeds from what your salary for Krishna. Use your education for Krishna. Don't give up your education. Use your. Rabindranath Swarup Prabhu was in university getting his PhD. And he describes that every single devotee in the Hare Krishna movement told him it was Maya, you should give it up and just stop, except one. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada told him, no, finish your education. You can use this for Krishna. And Rabindranath Swarup said, even some of the disciples told him, well, Prabhupada just told you that because you're attached. That's what you're asking, you know. You should renounce it all. No, we're not about renouncing all. You want to have a nice family, have a nice family, and Krishna eyes it. Make sure your children aren't just happy with the things that the television tells them they need their daddy to buy them to be happy when they're 6 years old. You can give them some of that too, but give them Krishna. Make your family Krishna-centered. Make your job Krishna-centered. Make your company Krishna-centered. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Don't renounce. Add Krishna. Prabhupada says, in some ways, you know, the whole world's a bunch of zeros, one sense. But you add one, you add Krishna, whatever zeros you have becomes like 1,000 or 100,000 or a billion. So you have an education, use it for Krishna. You have beauty, use it for Krishna. You have architectural skills, use it for Krishna. You have money, use it for Krishna. You can sing, use it for Krishna. Don't renounce it. That's called false renunciation. Was it Falgu Varagya? False renunciation. Rupa Goswami, one of Lord Chaitanya's principal followers, said that's not our path. We don't just renounce. We add Krishna. Okay? It's a very good question. Sometimes that misunderstanding comes up.
Thank you.
Other questions? Is they're going to blow the conch show when is that the message? Gopal Hari? Yeah.
Anyone else? No. Yes. Prabhu, this...
He's a professor. He gets asked questions all day long for a living. So when he gets to get back at somebody else, he takes full advantage. Go ahead.
Prabhu, once again, thank you so much for your very, deep and enlightening classes. This afternoon, you had mentioned how a devotee has no anxiety, yet you mentioned how Srila Prabhupada was managing an entire society. So how was he doing that without anxiety?
Sometimes Prabhupada say no material anxiety. Then it's rare, I don't even remember reading it, but hearing devotees that were with Prabhupada telling sometimes, like when in the middle of the Juhu battle and things like that, Prabhupada said to some of his disciples, like, I couldn't sleep last night. I was just too much worried about what was going on. So we don't completely give that up. We depend upon Krishna. Prabhupada certainly depended upon Krishna, but in the most intense moments when he was taking the biggest risk for Krishna, or sometimes, for instance, he was very worried. He had disciples in Pakistan at one of the times when one of the wars or something like that, and he read some reports that some American Krishna missionaries had been killed in Pakistan. He was in total anxiety because he sent those young disciples there on faith in him and his message, and he was very concerned for their well-being. So we should be very careful. Another thing too, it's not that you become a devotee, you don't care. You become a devotee, you care more. You know? You don't curse that idiot who's putting everybody's life at risk down the You pray for him. Krishna, please enlighten him. You know, let him smash a fender or two without killing anybody so he realizes this is not the best use of your race car. Okay. Any other questions? Here comes Premananda. Announcements, please.
Thank you so much, Anuttama Prabhuji. On behalf of our congregation here, just wanted to express my heartfelt gratitude to you for all the support that you give to us, and your presence, it makes a huge difference for us. Thank you again for always giving us your association and guidance. Please give a big hand to Prabhuji. And as I mentioned, next 2 days, Anuttama Prabhu is giving classes. We have sent out information on all the WhatsApp groups, and also Monday and Tuesday, Prabhu will be giving the Srimad Bhagavatam class. And so please attend. This is your opportunity to get some wonderful association, and inviting you all for that. I have just Sunday Feast announcements. Today there are 2 devotees who are sponsoring. Dev Iyer Prabhu celebrating Subhashree's birthday Is Dev Iyer Prabhu here? He's not here. Okay. He's here? Where is he? Yeah. Anuttama Prabhu moved away. So, Prabhuji, can you give them the... Yeah. Thank you so much, Dev Iyer Prabhu, and Sindhu Paul seeking devotees' blessings for Ravindranath Paul. Are they here? No? Again, as we always announce here, whatever occasion may be in our life, we always celebrate it, or we remember those departed souls on behalf. Also, many times devotees are sponsoring, distributing prasadam. Krishna prasadam is a wonderful service. So we thank you all, and let us offer our prayers by chanting the holy name of Krishna, so that all these families, they get their spiritual benefits. So please chant after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. And for the coming weeks, you can contact Ramdas Prabhu here. Abhay Prabhu is here today. So thank you all again for all your support, and prasadam is served downstairs. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If anybody want to meet with Anuttama Prabhu, you can come to the conference room.